October 4th. We do have a lot to get to tonight. We're going to be talking a little bit about our weather, which has been boring compared to other places across the country and across the world. We'll talk a little bit about some weather that's been making headlines, not only across the country, but like I mentioned, outside of the U.S. as well. Let's start off first with what you need to know as we head into tonight and then into your weekend as well. It's going to be warm on Saturday. We're going to be having temperatures that are near record highs, and it's going to be windy as well. Winds are going to stay strong on Saturday and on Sunday. That, combined with the warm and dry conditions, is going to make for an elevated fire threat. We are also continuing to see dry conditions. We did get a little bit of rain in Cedar Rapids last night to break that 34-day streak of no rain, but that's going to be the last chance we see for a while, as there's not much rain in the 9-day. Your evening's dry. If you have any plans to go out and watch some high school football games or go for a walk this evening, you're in great shape. Temperatures are in the 60s, dropping into the 50s by the time we get to first thing tomorrow morning. And it's going to be a little bit breezy tonight, but then winds really kick up tomorrow for Saturday. They'll be out of the south up to 30 miles per hour for gusts at times. That's going to help us get very warm on Saturday. Temperatures are going to be in the upper 80s. Some spots could hit 90. We'll have those mostly sunny skies, dry conditions, and other than the warmth and dry weather, there's not much to talk about with weather going on in Iowa other than that fire threat. But there have been a little more active weather stories going on around the country. So now we're going to talk about a couple of national and international weather stories. So first off, we did have some severe rainstorms that struck Bosnia overnight. Those killed at least 16 people and flooded several towns and villages. Rescue services in the south of the country reported several people missing today, and they called on volunteers and the Army to assist. Officials say in some areas the power is off, there is no cell service, and roads and railways are closed. The heavy rains and strong winds were also reported in neighboring Croatia. Now, with the latest on Helene, the search for survivors of Hurricane Helene is now in its second week. Unfortunately, at least 215 people are dead. Phone service and electricity outages are hindering rescue efforts for those that are trying to contact the unaccounted for. Those searchers are continuing to look for those that have gone missing, and we are hoping for good resolution to that. Now, up next in Dubuque, we did have a Dubuque County truck driver that is taking donated supplies to North Carolina to help Hurricane Helene survivors. Steve Shady of Worthington says he regularly delivers livestock to Piney Creek in the northern part of the state, but on Monday his truck will be filled with shovels, grills, food, and bottled water. If you would like to donate, head to this story on kcrg.com. And now we'll have a look at your forecast for fun with Justin Roberts.
Our forecast for fun, a lot of outdoor activities this weekend. Let's begin with what's about to start later on this evening, Friday Night Football. Our Friday Night Lights forecast, game of the week coming up on KCRG 9.2, Solon versus Benton Community. Kickoff temp upper 60s, just a few clouds. Fourth quarter, 61 degrees. Take a light jacket with you if you're watching games in northern Iowa. Yeah, plan accordingly. Going to be a little chillier there. Your overall weekend at the Pumpkin Patch, Saturday, 86. It'll be a breezy day. Winds out of the south, 20 to 30. Mid-70s Sunday as those winds turn to the north at 20 to 30. Monday, low 70s. The winds die down, but we still stay above normal. And the other big event this weekend, especially for you, breast cancer walk and race. Mercy Medical Center is where it starts. Opening ceremony 7:45. The run, the walk, family fun. We'll plan on temperatures in the upper 50s. Will be a perfect day. That kind of puts a nice little bow on our forecast for fun. As always, you can find details on these forecasts. And don't forget to wear your pink this weekend at kcrg.com.
Now, your first alert forecast with meteorologist AJ Rickman.
Well, as we have a look outside this evening over Decorah, it is a very nice evening out there. Temperatures have been pretty nice. We've been dealing with some very pleasant weather over the last couple of days. Now, we are dealing, as I mentioned, weather's been nice. Need to switch over our graphics to a different monitor real fast. So if we could get Max 1 loaded up into the green screen wall, that'd be great. But yeah, we are dealing with dry weather as we continue through the rest of our evening and tonight. And then we'll be dealing with all greens in your first alert, or excuse me, mostly greens. We are dealing with a little bit of a wind threat as we go through the day tomorrow. Breezes are going to pick up to be about 20 to 30 miles per hour at the strongest points during the day, and that is going to lead to a little bit of an elevated fire risk. And we are going to be watching that elevated fire risk as we go through the rest of the weekend as well. There we go, got the graphics loaded up for you. There is that wind threat on your first alert forecast that we mentioned, and then overnight we are going to be seeing winds that are breezy at times, but not going to be terrible. Now, as we go through the day tomorrow, that's when we're going to be watching those winds kick up. 20 to 30 miles per hour. That's going to help our high temperatures reach the middle and upper 80s, 90 in a couple places like Oskaloosa and down in Tama. And then through the overnight hours tonight, your pinpoint futurecast, it's dry, maybe a few passing clouds as you get into the start of your day on Saturday. But again, that best rain chance, last night's rain was the best rain chance we're going to have for a while. As we go through the rest of your day on Saturday, we're going to be dealing with a cold front that moves through Saturday night and into Sunday morning. So it's going to be warm on Saturday. Front comes through as we go through the overnight hours of Saturday and then into Sunday. Not going to bring any rain, but it will bring a passing cloud here or there, and that does help to cool us off by the time we get to your day on Sunday. So what that means for your weekend forecast, it's going to be windy once that front moves through. We'll have those northwesterly winds on Sunday as well. Keeps that fire risk elevated, but it is going to knock our temperatures down. High of 86 on Saturday. We do drop to 75 by the time we get to Sunday. But again, dry, mostly sunny skies. And then in your 9-day forecast, we do see that we do have a continuation of our cool down. Lows drop into the 40s, which is, believe it or not, is close to where we should be at this time of year. It might not feel like it as warm as we've been, but that relatively chilly night on Sunday leads to a cooler day on Monday. We're still above average compared to where we should be at this time of year, but then Monday night, those lows drop again, upper 30s to lower 40s. We'll be getting close to that first frost eventually. Some places might see that Monday night, Sunday night, or Monday night. A lot of areas won't quite get there though. And then Tuesday through the rest of your 9-day forecast, again, very dry. Lots of sunshine as we have a look through the rest of next work week. A little bit of cloud cover maybe as we get into next weekend. But again, that cloud cover is what we're hoping for, and rain chances are something that we really just aren't going to be seeing anytime soon. Now, our climate is changing and it's making some outdoor experiences a little less pleasant. Ginger Z explains why harmful algae might disrupt your plans.
You've likely seen it and smelled it. The slimy, colorful, and stinky stench of a harmful algal bloom growing on the surface of a nearby lake or river. These blooms, caused by a rapid increase in bacteria and nutrients in the water. They're becoming more frequent and more intense, according to the Environmental Protection Agency. And while blooms have always happened, the EPA says that they're getting worse because of our use of fertilizers and warming temperatures plus heavy rainfall, a compound impact of humans and human-amplified climate change.
If you have a longer summer, then you're going to have more time for these algae to continue to grow and grow larger and be able to go into things like our sources of drinking water or into a lake that people like to fish in or play in. So I guess what you're seeing is a longer warm period, which will give them more time to grow.
Mei Wu, the EPA's Deputy Assistant Administrator at the Office of Water, says that blooms aren't just smelly and unsightly. They can be dangerous. She says that blooms can be toxic to not just humans, but animals too. Anyone who comes in contact with the contaminated water, leading to rashes, gastrointestinal problems, and sometimes even death. Dr. Jeffrey Scott, an environmental science professor at the University of South Carolina, was part of a 5-year study that looked at the harmful impacts of those algal blooms. His team found that bacterial infections caused by algal blooms have increased dramatically over the last 20 years because of the impacts of humans and the amplification of climate change.
In 2004, there were about 8,000 cases of Vibrio illness, estimated cases. Today, we have 80,000 cases. And so there's this rapid expansion of Vibrios because of climate change, because it's warmer over a wider geographical area and over a longer period of time each year.
Wu says people heading to the lake should check with their state for health advisories. She says people can also report suspected algal blooms with the EPA's Bloom Watch tool. Most importantly, don't expose yourself or your pets to the contaminated water. With this Climate Minute, I'm Ginger Z.
Well, thank you to Ginger. And now we're going to have a look at Beyond the Weather with our First Alert Chief Meteorologist, Joe Winters.
Once again, we are here with our Beyond the Weather segment. Joining us from the Cedar Amateur Astronomers, Chris Cardos. And Chris, a lot going on as we head through the month of October as we start a new month, but I've heard tell about a comet that some people call the comet of the century.
Well, Joe, it's true. We are supposed to see a pretty nice comet this month. Whether it will be the one of the century or not, I think is yet to be seen. The comet is called, I'll have to say this carefully, Chu-Chin-shan Atlas. The first part comes from the Chinese who discovered it in 2023, and a couple months later, there's folks in South Africa at a facility called ATLAS, which stands for the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System. They discovered it a couple months later, so the name sort of got concatenated with those two discoveries. The comet has been visible only in the southern hemisphere until just recently. And I think around the end of September 27th or so, just a few days ago, it became visible in the northern hemisphere, but you had to get up early in the morning and it was very close to the horizon. So there might have been sunlight, creeping in and hampering your view.
Do we need to use any special equipment, Chris, a telescope or binoculars, or can you see it with the naked eye?
Well, the comet's going to disappear on October 6th and reappear on the 12th. And that'll be nice for observers because then it will appear in the evening sky and not in the early morning sky. How bright it is will determine whether you can see it clearly with the naked eye or whether you'll need a telescope or binoculars. Scientists are all over the place on their estimates of the magnitude of the comet. Some think it will be as bright as Polaris, which is the North Star, but it may not reach the level of Neowise that we had in 2020. So we'll just have to see. As the comet goes around the sun and comes back towards the Earth, the sun tends to break up the pieces of the comet a little bit, and actually that's a good thing because then it becomes more reflective and can become brighter. But it's a fairly small comet, so there's some people that think it may not even survive the trip around the sun. But I think
we'll wait and see for October. We got just a real short time. What public event do you have going on this month?
So on the 28th, which is a Saturday evening at 7:30, we have Dr. Jasper Halikas. He's a professor of astronomy and physics at the University of Iowa. He'll be presenting a talk on how to build a space mission. And the name of the mission is Tracers, and it's a long acronym. I won't bother to give it to you unless you want it.
But there's more information, obviously, on the website. You have it on your webpage as well, so people can check it out, and that's coming up on the 28th. We'll encourage people to go to that, and we'll be updating all month long, of course, on all the things you can see beyond the weather. Chris Cardos, thanks for joining us from the Cedar Amateur Astronomers. We appreciate you joining us and filling us in on the comet. Let's hope it's a good one to see in mid-October.
All right, very good, Joe. Thank you.
And although we are still a few days away from mid-October, it does look like we're going to have some good stargazing as we get to that point of the month. Lots of dry weather, and it's going to be warm as well. Saturday, your high temperature is 86. In Cedar Rapids, that is just 3 degrees away from the record high of 89 set in 1922. Elsewhere, Dubuque, Iowa City, Waterloo were not too far off from our records either. Just 2 degrees off in Iowa City, 3 degrees off in Dubuque, and then Waterloo, the record high there is 93. Now, as we have a look at the rest of your 9-day, again, very, very dry. Temperatures continue to be warmer than average, and then, like I said, very little to no rainfall in the forecast for the next several days. And then, again, those warmer than average temperatures continue as we go through the rest of your 9-day. At this time of year, we're supposed to be seeing temperatures that are dropping into the upper 60s for highs, and then lows are supposed to be in the mid-40s, but we're just not seeing that yet. Summer is hanging on with all it's got, and it really is doing a pretty effective job of not really going anywhere with those temperatures in the upper 70s and 80s. So one day, fall will get here. Technically, it is already here. We've had the astronomical start back in September, but it does feel more like summer right now. But the good news is you can go out and enjoy it and enjoy the warm weather while we have it, because once winter arrives, probably won't see some warm weather like this again until we get into May and maybe even June. But that is all we have for tonight, so thank you for joining us for First Alert Weather Now. We'll see you on Monday at 6:30. Have a great rest of your night.